First contact, final warning. The radio telescope at Arecibo had been silent for years, its massive dish collecting only cosmic dust and rainwater. But on that humid September evening, Dr. Elena Rodriguez wasn't looking at Arecibo's data. She was analyzing signals from a network of smaller stations scattered across the globe, part of a project most people had forgotten existed. The pattern emerged gradually, like a photograph developing in slow motion. Elena rubbed her tired eyes and looked again at her screen. The signal was artificial, rhythmic, and definitely not from Earth. "Marcus, come look at this," she called to her colleague, Dr. Marcus Chen, who was nursing his fifth cup of coffee that night. Marcus wheeled his chair over, squinting at the display. The waveform danced across the screen in perfect intervals. "That's not interference," he whispered. "That's a countdown." Within 6 hours, every major observatory on Earth confirmed what Elena and Marcus had discovered. Something was coming. Something big. President Sarah Thompson stood before the United Nations Assembly 3 days later, her face grave. The representatives from 193 nations sat in unprecedented silence. Behind her, a massive screen displayed the latest images from the Hubble Space Telescope. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "what you're seeing is real. 17 days ago, our astronomers detected an organized formation of objects approaching our solar system. They are not asteroids. They are not comets. They are ships." The image zoomed in, revealing sleek obsidian vessels arranged in perfect geometric formation. Each ship was the size of Manhattan, their surfaces rippling with an unknown energy that made them difficult to photograph clearly. "How many?" asked the Russian ambassador. 312 vessels, President Thompson replied. "They will reach Earth's orbit in approximately 47 days. The Chinese representative leaned forward. "Have we attempted communication? Every frequency, every known method," Thompson said. "For 16 days, we received no response. This morning, that changed." She nodded to the technician, and the screen flickered. A new image appeared, not of ships, but of symbols. Strange, angular writing that seemed to shift and move as they watched. "Our linguistics teams have been working around the clock," Thompson continued. "We believe we've deciphered their message. It's an ultimatum." Dr. James Okafor, head of the translation team, stepped forward. His hands trembled slightly as he adjusted his glasses. "The message is simple but clear. They call themselves the Kyrathi hegemony. They claim Earth falls within their territorial expansion zone. We have been given 40 days to prepare for integration." Integration. The British Prime Minister's voice cut through the murmur of voices. "What exactly does that mean?" Okafor's face darkened. "Surrender, complete and unconditional. They've done this before, to other worlds. Those who resist are processed." The word hung in the air like a death sentence. "And if we refuse?" asked the Indian delegate. President Thompson's jaw tightened. "Then they demonstrate what they call the price of defiance. They've included coordinates: Beijing, London, New York, Tokyo, Mumbai. 17 cities in total." The assembly erupted in angry voices and desperate questions. Through it all, Thompson remained standing, waiting for quiet. When it finally came, she spoke again. "I won't lie to you. Their technology is beyond anything we've seen. But humanity has faced extinction before. We've survived ice ages, plagues, and world wars. If they want Earth, they'll have to take it from us. And I promise you, we won't make it easy." The world transformed overnight. Old enemies became allies. Resources poured into military development at unprecedented rates. Factories that once made smartphones now produced weapons. Scientists who studied climate change suddenly found themselves designing defense systems. In underground bunkers across the globe, the brightest minds worked on Project Bastion, humanity's desperate attempt to create weapons that could pierce the Kyrathi shields. Dr. Zhang Wei, a theoretical physicist from Shanghai, led a team that included experts from every major nation. Their shields operate on a principle we don't fully understand, Zhang explained to the military officials gathered in the command center. But we've observed fluctuations in their energy output. If we can synchronize our attacks to match these fluctuations. General Patricia Hayes, head of the newly formed Earth Defense Force, studied the holographic projections. How accurate must the timing be? Within nanoseconds, Zhang admitted. It's like threading a needle while riding a roller coaster in an earthquake. Hayes' expression didn't change. Then we'd better start practicing. Above Earth, the International Space Station had been converted into a forward observation post. Commander Yuki Tanaka watched through the reinforced windows as humanity's fleet gathered in orbit. It was pitiful compared to what was coming. A few dozen hastily retrofitted shuttles and satellites armed with nuclear weapons and experimental railguns. They're entering the system, her communications officer reported. Crossing Neptune's orbit now. Tanaka activated the Global Defense Network. All stations, this is Overwatch. Enemy fleet has breached the outer system. Estimated time to Earth orbit, 17 hours. The Kyrathi didn't wait 17 hours. Their first attack came when they reached Jupiter, a demonstration of power that left no doubt about their capabilities. 3 vessels broke formation and approached Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon. A beam of green energy lanced out from the lead ship. Europa cracked like an egg, its ocean boiling away into space in seconds. The message was clear. This is what we can do to worlds. Imagine what we can do to you. But humans had spent the last month preparing for more than just military conflict. While soldiers trained and weapons were built, another kind of preparation took place. Deep in the mountains of Colorado, Norway, and New Zealand, massive bunkers had been carved out. Seed vaults, DNA banks, digital libraries. Humanity's legacy preserved against the possibility of defeat. Dr. Lisa Park oversaw the biological preservation efforts. If we fall, she told her team, we make sure something of us survives. Maybe in 1,000 years, maybe in 1,000,000, but someday, somewhere, humanity will rise again. When the Kyrathi reached Earth's moon, they sent their final communication. This time, it came with video. The screen showed a Kyrathi for the first time. They were tall, crystalline beings with bodies that seemed to be made of living geometry. Their voices resonated like breaking glass when they spoke. People of Earth, the lead Kyrathi said, its form shifting with each word. You have seen our power. You know your weapons cannot harm us. We offer you one final chance for peaceful integration. Your leaders have 1 hour to signal surrender. President Thompson appeared on every screen on Earth moments later. Her face was calm, but her eyes blazed with determination. To all the people of Earth, and to the Kyrathi who are listening, we've heard your terms, we've seen your power, and our answer remains the same. Earth is our home. We were born here. We've loved here, lived here, and died here for millions of years. If you want our world, come and take it. But know this, every human who draws breath will resist you. Every child, every elder, every person on this planet is a soldier now. You may have superior technology, but you've never faced anything like human determination. You want to see what we're made of. Come find out. The hour passed in silence. Then, exactly 60 minutes after their ultimatum, the Kyrathi fleet moved into Earth orbit, their weapons powered up, targeting the 17 cities they had specified. The attack began at dawn over Beijing. A green beam descended from the Lid Kyrathi vessel, aimed at the heart of the city. But something unexpected happened. The beam struck a barrier, a shimmering dome of energy that hadn't been there moments before. Project Bastion's first surprise was revealed. Using every particle accelerator on Earth, linked through quantum entanglement, humanity had created temporary shields over major cities. They wouldn't last long against sustained bombardment, but they bought precious time. The battle for Earth had begun. In bunkers and shelters across the world, billions watched as humanity's forces engaged the alien fleet. The modified shuttles and satellites fired their weapons in precisely timed volleys, trying to exploit the shield fluctuations Dr. Zhang had discovered. Most shots were deflected harmlessly, but a few, just a few, found their mark. The nuclear-tipped railgun slugs punched through weakened shields, detonating against alien hulls. For the first time, Kyrathi ships showed damage. It wasn't enough. One by one, Earth's defenses fell. The shield domes collapsed under sustained fire. Los Angeles burned first, its skyline reduced to molten glass in minutes. London followed, then Tokyo. But even as cities fell, something strange happened. The Kyrathi began to take losses, not from the military's weapons, but from unexpected sources. In Mumbai, a Kyrathi landing craft was brought down by a swarm of modified commercial drones carrying improvised explosives. In Sao Paulo, civilians used construction equipment to destabilize buildings, dropping them onto alien ground forces. Every human on Earth had become a soldier, just as Thompson had promised. And the Kyrathi, for all their technological superiority, hadn't prepared for an entire species willing to die rather than surrender. Commander Tanaka watched from the space station as the battle raged below. "They're pulling back from Moscow," she reported. "Beijing's shield is still holding. Wait, I'm seeing movement in the enemy formation." On Earth, in a bunker beneath the ruins of New York, General Hayes studied the tactical display. "They're regrouping. Why?" Dr. Zhang's eyes widened as he analyzed the data. "Their shield harmonics. They're changing. They're adapting to our attacks." Hayes grabbed the communicator. "All units, they're recalibrating their defenses. Switch to random frequency attacks. Don't give them a pattern to adapt to." But it was too late. The Kyrathi had learned from the initial engagement. Their second wave of attacks was devastating. Paris fell in seconds. Cairo's defenders were vaporized before they could fire a shot. By nightfall, more than half of Earth's major cities were gone. Billions were dead. But still, humanity fought on. In the ruins, in the bunkers, in the wilderness, wherever humans drew breath, they resisted. The Kyrathi commander appeared on global broadcasts again. Its crystalline form seemed to pulse with frustration. "Your resistance is unprecedented," it admitted, "but futile. You have cost us 37 ships. This is more than any species has achieved against us, but we have thousands more. Surrender now, and we will be merciful." In response, a new voice broke through on all channels. It wasn't Thompson. She had died defending Washington. It wasn't any world leader. It was Elena Rodriguez, the astronomer who had first detected the aliens. "You want to know what humans are made of," she said from an unknown location. "We're made of stubbornness. We're made of spite. We're made of a refusal to go quietly into the night. You've killed billions of us, but you've also done something else. You've united us. You've shown us what we're capable of when we work together. And I promise you this, we're just getting started." As she spoke, strange readings appeared on Kyrathi sensors. Energy signatures they couldn't identify, coming from locations across the solar system. Humanity's second surprise was about to be revealed. The resistance had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The counterstrike that shook the galaxy. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in the hidden facility known only as Site Zero, located 2 kilometers beneath the Antarctic ice. Around her, the greatest scientific minds who had survived the initial attacks worked feverishly on what they'd discovered in the wreckage of the first downed Kyrathi ship. "Their technology isn't invincible," she explained to the assembled team. "It's based on harmonic resonance. Everything. Their shields, their weapons, their propulsion operates on specific frequency patterns." Dr. Michael Oduya, a Nigerian quantum physicist, nodded excitedly. "And we've isolated the master frequency. It's like finding the root password to their entire system. But knowing it and exploiting it are different things," added Dr. Sarah Kim from South Korea. "We need a delivery system." Elena smiled grimly. "We have one. Project Phoenix." Across the solar system, humanity's greatest secret was about to be revealed. For years before the invasion, private space companies had been mining asteroids, establishing small outposts throughout the solar belt. When Earth fell under attack, these isolated facilities had been forgotten by the Kyrathi, deemed irrelevant. That was their first mistake. Captain John Reeves commanded Mining Station Alpha 7, floating in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. His crew of 30 had watched in horror as Earth burned, unable to help. Now, they had a purpose. Package received, his communications officer reported. It's the weapon specifications from Site 0. Reeves studied the plans. Project Phoenix was audacious in its simplicity. Using mining equipment, they would hollow out asteroids and convert them into massive kinetic weapons. But the real genius was the frequency generators they would install, devices that would match the Kyrathi harmonic signatures and slip through their shields like ghosts. "We have 72 hours," Reeves told his crew. "Let's get to work." On Earth, the resistance had evolved from desperate survival to coordinated warfare. In the ruins of Berlin, former German Special Forces operator Klaus Müller led a strike team that had perfected the art of Kyrathi hunting. They're overconfident, Müller explained to his newest recruits. They walk through our cities like gods, expecting worship or terror. Instead, we give them thermite charges and tungsten penetrators. The team moved through the rubble-strewn streets, following a lone Kyrathi scout. The aliens had adapted their tactics, sending individual units to root out resistance cells. But humans had adapted too. Müller gave the signal. His team struck from 6 directions simultaneously. EMP grenades disrupted the Kyrathi's personal shield. Armor-piercing rounds found joints in its crystalline body. In seconds, another alien fell. "That's 43, Müller's lieutenant reported. The other cells report similar successes. We're bleeding them." Slowly, painfully, humanity was learning to fight back. In the Pacific Ocean, deep beneath the waves, another surprise awaited the invaders. The submarine U.S. Leviathan had survived the initial attacks by running silent in the Mariana Trench. Now, Captain Angela Torres prepared her crew for their mission. "The Kyrathi have established a command center on what was Hawaii," she briefed her officers. "Intelligence suggests it's their primary communications hub for this entire operation." Lieutenant Jackson raised his hand. "How do we get close? Their sensors can detect us from..." Torres smiled. "Not if we're not using any power. We're going to drift in with the current, running completely silent. Once we're in position, we surface and fire everything we have. One shot, one opportunity." The plan was insane. It was also their only chance. Above Earth, Commander Tanaka had turned the International Space Station into more than just an observation post. Working with a skeleton crew, she had spent weeks modifying the station's solar panels into a massive directed energy weapon. "It'll only fire once," she told Earth Command. "The feedback will destroy the station. But if we time it right, we can take out their command ship." General Hayes, now operating from a bunker in the Australian outback, coordinated the global resistance. "We have assets in position. Phoenix is ready. The submarine is approaching target. Your station is our ace in the hole. When do we move?" On screens around the world, Alina Rodriguez appeared. She had become the voice of human resistance, her broadcasts keeping hope alive in the darkest hours. "In 3 days, the Kyrathi fleet will align for what they call the final harvest, the complete sterilization of Earth's surface. But we've learned something they don't know we know. During this alignment, their ships must lower shields to synchronize their weapons. For exactly 17 minutes, they'll be vulnerable." The countdown began. Captain Reeves watched from his asteroid as hundreds of modified space rocks moved into position. Each one was piloted by volunteers who knew they weren't coming back. The asteroids had been equipped with basic thrusters and the frequency generators that would let them slip past Kyrathi defenses. "All units, this is Phoenix Lead," Reeves transmitted. Remember, we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every world these bastards might visit next. Make it count. On Earth, resistance cells prepared for simultaneous strikes. In the oceans, submarines moved into attack positions. Hidden missile silos, fought destroyed, came back online. The Kyrathi, for all their advanced technology, had made a crucial error. They had assumed human resistance would crumble after the initial devastating attacks. They had never fought a species that grew stronger through adversity, that turned every defeat into a lesson, that refused to accept extinction. 3 days passed like 3 years. Then, as Earth's battered moon rose over the Pacific, the Kyrathi fleet began its final maneuver. 300 ships moved into precise formation, their weapons charging for the sterilization wave that would end all life on Earth. Shield drop in 10 seconds, reported sensors across the human resistance network. Alina watched from Site 0. All units, prepare to execute. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Execute. The assault began with the asteroids. 200 modified space rocks, each the size of a skyscraper, accelerated toward the Kyrathi fleet. Their frequency generators sang in harmony with alien shields, allowing them to pass through undetected until it was too late. The impacts were devastating. Kyrathi ships, unshielded and unprepared, were struck by millions of tons of rock and metal traveling at incredible speeds. Explosions rippled through their formation as vessels collided with debris and each other. Captain Torres gave the order. The U.S. Leviathan burst from the ocean surface, her vertical launch tubes already open. Nuclear missiles streaked toward the Hawaiian Command Center, their warheads modified with the frequency data Alina's team had provided. The command center shields, weakened by the need to coordinate the fleet alignment, buckled under the assault. The facility vanished in a ball of nuclear fire. In orbit, Commander Tanaka watched the chaos through her targeting system. The Kyrathi command ship, larger than all the others, struggled to raise its shields while dealing with the asteroid bombardment. Targeting locked, she reported. Firing in 3, 2, 1. The International Space Station's makeshift weapon discharged every watt of power it had collected. A beam of concentrated solar energy, focused through jury-rigged lenses, struck the command ship's bridge. The shot wasn't powerful enough to destroy the vessel, but it didn't need to be. It just needed to kill the commanders. The station shook violently as systems overloaded. Tanaka felt the hull breach, felt the air rushing out. Her last sight was of the Kyrathi command ship tumbling out of control. On Earth, Klaus Müller led the Berlin resistance in their assault. Across the planet, similar scenes played out. Humans emerged from hiding, striking at disorganized Kyrathi ground forces. Every fallen alien yielded weapons and technology that were immediately turned against the invaders. But the true shock came from an unexpected source. As the Kyrathi fleet reeled from the coordinated attack, new contacts appeared on their sensors. Ships were emerging from hyperspace, but they weren't Kyrathi reinforcements. They were Tolari, Nexeri, Vashadi, species the Kyrathi had conquered centuries ago. They had been watching, waiting for someone to show that the hegemony could be hurt. Humanity's defiance had lit a spark across the galaxy. Kyrathi vessels broadcast the Tolari commander, "You are outnumbered and outgunned. Your empire built on fear ends today. Surrender or be destroyed." The Kyrathi, faced with a full-scale galactic revolt, chose retreat. Their surviving ships jumped to hyperspace, abandoning their ground forces on Earth. The invasion was over. In the aftermath, as humanity emerged from the ruins to rebuild, Alina Rodriguez stood before the United Nations, or what remained of it. Representatives from a dozen alien species stood alongside human delegates. "The Kyrathi thought we were just another primitive world to be harvested," she said. "They didn't understand what makes us human. We don't just survive, we adapt. We don't just resist, we overcome. And when pushed to the brink, we don't break, we break through." The Tolari ambassador stepped forward. "Your species has earned something no other has in thousands of years. the respect of the galaxy. The Kyrethi hegemony is in retreat. Worlds are declaring independence. Your defiance has shown every oppressed species that freedom is possible. President Chen, newly elected leader of the United Earth government, smiled wearily. We paid a heavy price. Billions dead, cities destroyed, our world scarred. But we survived. And more than that, we found our place among the stars. The rebuilding would take generations, but humanity now had allies, technology, and most importantly, the knowledge that they had faced extinction and emerged victorious. The galaxy had learned a lesson that would echo through the ages. Never underestimate humanity. On the anniversary of the first attack, memorials rose on every continent. The largest stood where New York once was, a crystal spire reaching toward the stars. Inscribed on its base were the words that had become humanity's motto. They came to end us. They only made us stronger. We are Earth. We are human. We endure. Among the stars, other species began to whisper a new term, spoken with awe and sometimes fear, the unbreakable ones. Humanity had not just survived. They had changed the galaxy forever. And in the depths of space, alien civilizations began to include a new warning in their databases. Approach Earth with caution. Here be humans.